Welcome to Tech Notice. Now, I'm not sure if you are familiar with my M1 Mac Mini story, but I returned it basically because it didn't work for my workflow. But because of the current situation in the world, PC stock, being very bad. The problem is you can't build a PC with MSRP, basically. You're just gonna pay a lot more than what the MSRP is. And a secret release from Apple about the M1 Mac Mini makes me reconsider the Mac Mini M1 for quite a lot of people if you want something that can edit 4K or less and you want, best bang for buck. Let me show you. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail like why I returned my Mac Mini. You can go and check another complete video about this and Mac Mini performance and live performance. I did a live stream of editing on Premiere Pro with this and showed different codecs and how it handles this and some of the different programs. I've also created like a few best bang for buck things about the Mac Mini, like which is the best bang for buck Mac Mini, which is like the best bang for buck accessory. So if you want to check them out, just check them out in the channel. The reason I'm making this video right now about the Mac Mini again is because there's a few things that I've seen online. I've done some research and some other people's reviews on there I want to add to my previous best bang for buck Mac Mini, and I think this could be a very good option for some of the people who want like a temporary solution until PC stock has gone back and they want a very big massive heavy CPU, heavy GPU, like a workstation that can hold them out until then and edit some of the things, or someone who's just maybe starting out and wants like something that's really good and all around good stuff to use for about £1,000. So now if you want to choose the Mac Mini, I'm also going to leave these in the description below if you want to check them out. When you are going to choose the Mac Mini on Apple's website, Apple gives you like two choices. You can't buy the Intel version anymore. There's only M1 chips available, M1 Mac Minis. And you think, oh, look, this one is $899. It must be a better base model. Actually, the only difference between these two Macs is the storage, 512 gigabytes of storage. And for Apple to charge $200 for this is absolute ripoff. It doesn't matter the speed of it because it's not as fast as, let me show you, this M.2 SSD, which is $200, right? The same amount, and we're getting 1 terabyte, which is 4 times the amount, and we're getting so much faster speeds. Now this one over here goes read speed up to 7,000 megabytes per second. Yes, 7 gigabytes per second, and 5.3 gigabytes per second write speed, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we're not going to go with that option. We're going to go with this one. And once you have chosen this one, you can't choose the CPU because obviously that's the M1 chip, but what you can choose is the RAM or memory. Now there is 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabyte version available. If you want to buy the Mac Mini for just maybe for 12 months and something that will get you through until something else comes out, or just for like temporarily, go with the 8 gigabytes of memory because there isn't actually that big of a difference in terms of real world editing performance or exporting performance between the 8 and 16 gigabytes. It's not worth $200, the actual like just hands-on performance difference. They're both very similar. Now, if you do a lot of complex edits, what happens is the RAM is going to be like filled up, so it's going to use all the RAM. And what happens then is when the RAM is filled, it's going to start to use the SSD storage as a RAM. So it's going to start writing the temporary RAM files into the SSD and then deleting and writing it on the SSD again and again and again. What happens is the SSD like lifespan gets massively reduced very fast. And you can find a lot of different people online talking about this, how their SSD on Mac Mini just like ran out or crashed or whatever because the RAM usage and how it works with the M1 chip. So basically the conclusion for this is if you want something that will run you like a 12 months until the next PC parts are going to come out and the GPUs are finally available and all that, then get the 8 gigabyte version. You'll be absolutely fine. Now if you want to keep it for a little bit longer and save like your SSD space and things like that, then get the 16 gigabyte version because that means that it's not going to write so much of the temporary files into the SSD and ruin the SSD basically. Now between the storage options over here, I would keep it as 256 gigabyte SSD. Now you can buy more if you wanted to, but this is what I would do because I just can't pay $200 for 512 gigabytes of SSD storage when I can easily add it for much less externally. Unless you really want the Mac Mini to be very compact and like carry it with you and have your projects actually inside the Mac Mini rather than on an external SSD or like a dock that has SSD inside, then, you know, choose how much you can afford. But for people who want to really save on money, just get the 256 gigabytes on the applications on it, the programs on it, and all the projects and actual video files and everything else will be stored on an external SSD or like a dock that has SSD or hard drive inside. So that's where I stay there. And now comes the big surprise of a release that Apple didn't announce, just literally boom, added it there because probably quite a lot of people talked about it, and which is the Ethernet pod. It usually just came with a gigabit Ethernet and there was no other option. Now we have a 10 gigabit Ethernet pod for $100, which is a very, very good price. Now, if you just want to see how much a 10 gigabit Ethernet PCIe card costs on Amazon, check it out. It's about $100. So for Apple to charge that 10 gigabit Ethernet pod for that M1 Mac Mini for $100, it's a very, very good price. Everyone should just be adding this. Even if you're just thinking I'm going to use it for temporarily, you might be using this Mac Mini as an ingest station in the future with that 10 gigabit Ethernet. So whatever configuration you go with, please go with a 10 gigabit Ethernet. You're really gonna thank me later because that is absolutely amazing. To have a NAS, to ingest your footage all to your NAS, or to edit straight off a NAS if you don't have any storage, because we have only 256 gigabytes, but if you have a NAS, then that's the problem. So if you want a PC that's like a second PC, well, a computer, not really a PC. If you want like a secondary workstation PC, or you're hiring someone to do some more work or someone to ingest footage and do something else, then this Mac Mini is a very, very, very good option. About $1,000 is what I think is like the best bang for buck of range now, between the 16 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. You know, you can choose which one you want, but right now the more expensive one is getting us to $1,000. So this is a Mac Mini that could actually get you through some of the 1080p and 4K editing footage. Now I know a lot of people still use 1080p editing footage and not everyone is using 4K plus resolution footage. Thanks guys for answering the poll on my channel. If you did, quite a lot of people answered the poll. But if you're doing 1080p editing or 4K editing in a simple timeline where there isn't that much crazy things going on, like a multicam edit, which just didn't work for me at all, unless you're using Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve, it's a better option over there, but for Premiere Pro it didn't work. So if you're Premiere Pro user, only very simple edits, sometimes even the wedding, depends how crazy you go on transitions and color grading and like layers of stuff and like audio design on it, you can even absolutely go crazy on this one. But like simple, maybe like interviews and do some client work and 4K and 1080p, whether it's Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut, you can do it on this Mac Mini and it will be very, very, very good, smooth performance, very impressive for that amount of money. And later on, when you're not going to use it, you can always use it like in the back of the TV, PC, if you want to use it for that or something else, something temporarily until the PC gets in stock. That's a very good option. And now with the 10 gigabit Ethernet, it opens up a complete different variety of things, how good of a computer this is and how you can use it for. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, it actually makes a difference. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.